Welcome back to Weather Nation. And many are still reeling after last week's massive 8.8 magnitude earthquake near Russia, which triggered tsunami alerts across the Western Pacific. While the U.S. was spared from major impacts, it was a powerful reminder of just how fast and far these events can reach. Joining us now is Dave Snider from the National Tsunami Warning Center to break down what happened and all we should know about tsunami. So let's just start with the basics. For those at home, what is a tsunami?
Hey, thanks. Pleasure to be here today. A
Thanks.
tsunami is a huge push of ocean water that usually, and most of the time, starts with a powerful earthquake like what we saw last week.
Yeah.
That entire ocean column is moving, and like a ripple from your bathtub, if you raise up your hands really quickly, that water starts sloshing out toward the edges. Now, a lot of the time, that water will stay within the bathtub if you don't give it a good shove. But if you give it a powerful upward shove, just like we saw with this powerful upward moving earthquake, those ripples can go out over the bathtub walls and splash out onto the bathtub floor. That bathtub tsunami there, of course, makes a pretty big mess. And that's what we're here to warn people about, to get out of the way when those large ocean ripples and ocean floods come up to your coastline.
And so you're talking about the ripples and floods. Are those some of the biggest impacts that you do have from the tsunamis? You have the ocean, you have the flooding.
Absolutely. The shove of ocean water is not storm surge. It's not from a tropical source.
Mm.
It's not a weather driven event that's just on the very top layer of
hmm
that ocean water. It is a full ocean column of motion moving through the ocean and up onto the coastline. And with that going in once and then coming back out and going back in again over and over and over again, we can have tremendous destruction on infrastructure, things that are attached to the shoreline or uh, drawn up on the pier or the docks there,
Yeah.
and that intense motion on things that aren't used to that type of motion from the ocean can just wield tremendous destruction. Not to mention if people are also in those locations.
Yeah, location is key. So let's talk about that 8.8 magnitude earthquake in Russia. It caused those tsunami alerts for many Western states. Can you talk about how often alerts like those are issued and why? We were talking about that a little bit behind the scenes. Yeah.
Sure, they're pretty rare. You know, about once
Yeah.
in every 10 years or so. The last several events that we've had have been very small or regional. There, some of those in Alaska, some of those just for the Pacific Islands around Hawaii as well.
hmm
But these really large events are about maybe once in a decade or so, and they are the largest events in the types of systems that we are designed to alert for. The last major earthquake like this was, I think, Tohoku in 2011 in Japan, and it
Yes.
was a full system response there, a tremendous earthquake and one of the largest we've ever recorded. This ranked number 6 on those
Wow.
recorded earthquakes list there. So a powerful system, a planetary event, and it did move a lot of water. We saw 3.5 feet of a tsunami there in Crescent City in Northern California. They were under a tsunami warning. We saw a 2.3 foot tsunami there out in the Western Aleutians in
Wow.
Alaska. And that doesn't sound like a lot of water, right? If you saw 2 to 3 foot waves on the
hmm
coast on any given day, you'd say it's a great day to go play in the water. But this is a totally different event. This is water coming up above that high tide line that's making its way onto dry parts of land.
Wow.
And again, creating damage in places like Crescent City, who's reported more than $1 million of damage to their harbor in those areas.
It's so interesting. And I watched documentaries on the 2004 Boxing Day tsunami that was in Asia.
Right.
That was actually a magnitude 9.2. So why did we not maybe see the same level of destruction when the earthquake was kind of close in strength? Obviously, the strength is going to make impacts, but that one was bigger. This one was a little smaller. Can you explain that?
Yes, and that's a huge challenge in those first few minutes when we understand this earthquake is large and getting larger as we're watching more information come in,
hmm
is we don't know in those first few minutes how big is this going to be and which way has that earth moved to start pushing that water that is likely sending a tsunami across the ocean. And so in this case, we know that the earth moved upwards and push water out. We are reasonably sure of that. But what we have to discern then for more information as that comes in is how did that push water out and which angle did it push that across the ocean? And in this case, unlike other tsunamis that moved out of Eastern Asia and Japan, this one was pointed a little bit more south and not directly at northern parts of or northern America, let's say. It did catch that ridge of higher terrain in the North and Central Pacific that kind of angled some of that wave action toward Northern California. It seems to do that every time for Crescent City, and Crescent City is well prepared for that reality there. So there's places that we always watch for, but in this case, the ocean was kind of pointed, or the ocean energy was kind of pointed away from a large part of North America. But it takes us time to understand that, sometimes 30, 60, even 90 minutes after the earthquake has occurred, to understand what that modeling looks like, where that strongest motion could be pointing that ocean energy toward. And those are critical decision points that we relay to our coastal state warning points, our weather forecast office that are helping local communities there, so we can get the most people out of the way as quickly as possible.
That is so impressive. We were talking about the technology, how much it's changed. I was talking about how I lived in Okinawa in the 80s and 90s as a kid.
Yeah.
And so we've got about a minute 14 left. So I just want to ask you about safety precautions, safety with people. What are some of these precautions? Next time a tsunami alert goes out, just let us know what people should be going. We got about a minute left here, Dave.
Sure thing. The most important thing is pay attention to your local information and your local emergency managers. They want to keep you safe, and they are working with us to make sure that you have the best and most reliable information 24/7, 365. The other thing to remember is when we say a tsunami is coming, don't go to the coast to watch it. We don't need more videos of that. Move away from the coast, follow those instructions, and get to safety. Take care of your family, take care of the people that you're with, and make sure everybody gets that information and is safe. We'll get videos of that later. We don't need yours. The other thing is the first wave may not be the largest, and it may not be the last. And we saw that happen time and time again throughout this event.
David Snider, thank you so much, from the Tsunami Warning Coordinator. Wow, great information right there. And we appreciate all you're doing in helping and keeping us safe. So thank you so much. We will be right back here on Weather Nation. We want to thank you guys so much for joining us as we have all your top weather headlines.